apology. That's what you want for my unprofessional behavior. Well, Sterling, I got no problem apologizing because you're right, I was unprofessional. So, for my actions on Tuesday night, I'm sorry. However, let's get down to the truth, Sterling. Let's talk about the real nuts and bolts behind what's going on here in the Maverick. You see, Maverick started 32 years ago, 1987. I wasn't there then. I came some years later. But I came along to the good old boy network of Maverick Championship Wrestling, and I busted my ass to get to the top. And then maybe I got a little soft because I got used to being in the top spots here in the Maverick. But then a little over a year ago, you see, I had a vision. I started watching Renegades Wrestling Organization. I started watching Leaning Towards Death. I started watching Sports Lounge Studios. I started watching Elite Extreme Women, bringing you wrestling action on the YouTube channel. I went to Max Stevens. I said, this is the future of Maverick Championship Wrestling. Becoming a part of this community, putting it on YouTube, going out and getting the best talent we can find in that community and pushing that new talent to the top of the Maverick. And they would take us to heights we had never seen before. You see, I knew the good old boy network that kept pushing the same 5 guys at the top of the card, the same 15 to 20 guys in the middle of the card, and the same 10 guys curtain jerking every night wasn't going to cut it if we were to grow and to become better. Maverick went on to YouTube last year in February, and we've experienced our greatest year in the existence of Maverick. Then towards the end of last summer, Max Stevens starts talking about selling the company. And I hear Sterling Rich is the name that's going to buy it. One of the good old boys. One of the boys that used to be protected at the top of the card. Well, despite our differences, I had to thank Josh Taylor because he was in Sterling Rich's ear. And I knew Josh knew that the wrestling of the community was our future. We may not agree on which guys should be at the top. We may not agree. But what we did is we put them in the ring and we found out that way. I immersed myself in the community. I started wrestling on Leaning Towards Death. I started wrestling for UKWF. I started wrestling on Sports Lounge Studios. I started wrestling on RWO. Why? I didn't wrestle on Maverick. Not that often. No, I wrestled on those other shows to show the community. When they saw D-Train in the ring, they thought about Maverick Championship Wrestling. And they gave us a try. And we grew and we grew and we grew. And we started bringing in some great names, some veterans that were out in the community. Pete Wall, Blaze McCoy, Omar Wolf, Adam Guerin. The list goes on and on. War. I don't care. We can go on for days. Lord Amadeus. They're all out there. They all came to the Maverick. They all wanted to prove themselves here. Then we started finding new talent. Talent that was untapped. The Brandon Aces. The Caleb James. The Vernon Quinns. And they started coming to the Maverick. They started making a name for themselves. And the Maverick just kept growing and growing and growing. All the while, Sterling Rich, upset that him and his good old boys weren't dominating the top of the card. Sterling and I sat down when it came time to go to 2K19, and we said, we're going to keep growing it through the community, and he agreed to that. The one name I said could never make it back into Maverick was John Purple Hayes. I said if he comes back, he's a cancer. He'll turn everything we've built upside down, and it'll go back to the way it was with the good old boy network. The same 5 guys at the top of the card. And slowly but surely, the great names that have come to wrestle in Maverick will walk away because they're tired of seeing Purple Hayes get shot after shot after shot. Don't get me wrong, Purple Hayes is a 22-time Universal Champion in Maverick. If they build a Mount Rushmore for Maverick Championship Wrestling, Purple Hayes is the first name that should be nominated to be on Mount Rushmore. Don't get me wrong. He's earned his time, but it was a different era then. It was a different time. The competition was not as great as it is today. So, Sterling, what you saw and what everybody seemed to overlook was the fact that Sunday, I got just as upset when Rick Valentine slid into the ring with that 5K logo on his tights. I marched into your office then, a little bit more under control, and I told you point blank, that can't happen. The 5K is dead. The 5K is gone. The stables we have now are 10 times better. You assured me that Rick just didn't have his proper ring attire, and he pulled out an old ring attire. Maybe I was naive enough to believe it. I went into Tuesday night, was having a great card. Holy cow, Minerva and Mad Cow put on a match for the ages. The women of Maverick Championship Wrestling are taking things to a new level that's never been here before. And that's all because of the digital wrestling community. It's not homegrown talent. It's people we went out and got to come participate here. Why? Because they wanted to prove themselves against the best. And now you want to go back to the Maverick Originals. I saw the lineup for the 30-man Rumble. I saw Snakebite. I saw T-Money. I saw Kazama. I saw One-Eyed Jack Stone, and I knew you were pushing the Maverick Originals back onto the roster because those all had been gone for a while. But suddenly they're back for that Rumble. When Bodag burst into the booth, maybe that was the distraction you needed. I don't know. Maybe all of it was planned. Because you watch when the 29th person comes out to the Rumble, there's a hell of a long delay till that clock starts for number 30. Makes me think you weren't convinced you were going to send John down. I was distracted because the wrestling that the roster had put on for you that night was so great that I get distracted by the amazing content we put on every week. And then his name hit the screen. And I knew you had been lying to me all along. I was unprofessional Tuesday night. Fine, I own that. But if you think that I'm just going to roll over and let you start wheeling these geriatric old fucks out of the woodwork into Maverick now, it's not going to happen. You want to know why? The very community that has come to the Maverick rallied around me Tuesday night. Yeah, while you saw a lot of things, you didn't see guys that I would consider my enemies coming to me and saying, no matter what, I got your back on this one. We may not see eye to eye, and we may have differences of opinion, but we're behind you now. So if you think it's just ruthless is just a small part of your problem. Because what you did Tuesday night was you got the entire digital wrestling syndicate backing me against you. So you want to bring the Maverick Originals back, you do it. The digital wrestling syndicate, the entire community, is ready to go to war. Bring anybody you want. We'll come to the fight. we will win.